Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro Fan. Tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro Fan. Tune into the program. Pro Fan. Tune into the program. Pro Fan. Tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your boy John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Back at you with another one with a special segment with my boys Vlad, Barry, and New England Patriots and NFL insider for NBC Sports Boston. Quick Slants host, Patriots Talk podcast on YouTube. He's everywhere, man. And it's Tom Curran. Thank you for being on the show. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me, John. Barry, thanks for reaching out. Vlad, hey.
Nice to meet you.
How are you? Appreciate you guys.
Doing pretty good, man. And obviously you're here because, you're a big Patriots guy and the season's upon us this week. And, before we get into everything, I'd like to ask everybody to join us and support us by subscribing to the channel. And also before we start on with everything that's exciting with the Patriots, there was some sad news with the Patriots family with the passing of David Patton. And I wanted to make sure to ask you about him because, he was a really good player around here for a long time. And I think he got a lot of respect in the New England area. What was it like covering him since you've been covering the team since 1997 and his relationship with you?
Yeah, I think we remember the catch against the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. He caught that from Bledsoe, and then the catch in the Super Bowl. No one will forget. And both of those were really acrobatic, almost identical catches. And then he had that game against Indianapolis earlier in the year, which is awesome because it was a historic game. Ran for, and caught a touchdown in that game. And I think that was the third week that Brady started, and it was the second win over Peyton Manning and the Colts in like 4 weeks since Brady came into the league, kind of a precursor to what we were going to see. But for David as a guy, for me starting out, it was, my fourth year in the league, covering the league and covering the team. And I was still covering high school sports as well and youth sports and working on the Metro West Daily News. Even guys like that, John, they can serve as kind of an inspiration to you, even if you're not in the same business. He busted his ass. He was in landscaping, he carried coffee beans, worked in the restaurant industry, and he kept fighting to do what he wanted to do. And, we can apply that. You guys can apply that with what you're doing here. You keep doing these things because you love them. You don't know if you're ever going to get the payoff. And he ended up getting the payoff. He was just a professional guy, a funny guy, called everybody Chief. What's up, Chief? And I do remember two interesting stories. One was Tom Brady. One day I said, how come David Patton doesn't work in the middle? How come he's always outside? And he goes, look at his ass. I was like, okay. don't tell him I'm looking. And he goes, see how high it is? It's like, yeah. He goes, that's because he's got long legs. He's high cut, and it's harder for him to work in the middle. Because you look at a guy like Troy, and his legs are not as long. So you look at those guys who have a body type like that, and they're just more attuned to being able to stretch the field and build to speed as opposed to getting to that speed quickly. There was another thing. This kid named Greg Jennings. He was a wide receiver. He was on the practice squad, the Patriots practice squad. And the Patriots released him in 02 or 03, but he never went home. He stayed with David Patton at David Patton's house and used to work out at the Raynham Athletic Club where I was. And I'd see him in there, and I was like, he's like, I live with David Patton down the street. He watches out for me in case they re-sign me to the practice squad. And it's just like, this kind of guy who would do something like that for a young guy. So, long roundabout story, but I just wanted to let you know that he was a special guy. I'm glad you asked, John.
Absolutely, man. I started watching the Patriots, really watching them in the 2000 season. And, we grew up with the whole Patriots way kind of stuff. And, one thing about David Patton, you'd hear a lot about him on the field, but not really off the field so much. So I definitely appreciate that about him. And fast forward 21 years later, we got some changes in the building, right? Cam Newton is obviously not with us anymore. And, just watching the media, everybody had Cam Newton starting the season, going until week 5, and maybe Mac would take over. We've had Ben Vollen on the show. Wiggy was on the show, and, they were rooting for Cam Newton. Not to say rooting, but
yeah.
they thought that's what was going to happen. And you're one of the guys that actually, for a few weeks now, have been saying, you know, Mac Jones is the best quarterback in training camp. And obviously, you know, your predictions came true. What was it were you seeing so much about him in the summer that pretty much gave you that confidence that he would be able to do this?
Yeah, great question, John. I just didn't think that the commitment to Cam was as profound as people thought it was. You know, the day that he was drafted, the day that he resigned for a $6 million contract, which is still very tepid. You know, it's just not a lot for a starting quarterback. He's on a 1-year deal. And the timing of it, they signed him right before free agency. So to me, I said, you know what? They made a smart move. They re-signed him just in case, so they can go to Nelson Aguilar and Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and say, we got a quarterback here. Because you can't go into free agency with that place completely vacant. Yeah. So they did the smart thing. But I didn't think that they were done with business. Obviously, they weren't. And when Belichick said the night that he drafted Mac Jones, Cam's our starter, the rest of that sentence was, and when Jarrett or Mac are ready to compete with him, we'll see how that goes. And then again, at the beginning of camp, when he says, Cam's our starter, he says, all some of them make sense, but everybody has to establish their level. So I've watched this team for so long that if I knew that if one guy outplayed the other, especially when the one guy was kind of in a temp role, was kind of a stopgap, which Cam was, that he would be given the chance. And as camp went along, I didn't think it would happen, fellas. But as camp went along, and he won every day, not by this, but he'd win every day by that, or that, or that, or that, to the point where it's like 7 days in a row. And now it's like that. You're like, there's no real reason to go to Cam, who wasn't a disaster. He was not horrible. He was better than last year. His arm is way stronger. It's just the way they want to do their business. It's like, you know, why would you hire a jazz musician for a rock band? Yeah. And that's kind of the fit. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're playing one kind of music, and Cam can play that music too, but the other guy's just better equipped.
Better at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Vlad.
Well, this is a new season. Football is upon us. This was last year. This week was the last week or last weekend without football.
Last Sunday.
And this is really the post-Brady era. The post-Brady era is really starting now because we actually have a young quarterback that everybody's excited about. What's your outlook for this first game against the Dolphins with Mac Jones, the running game, the defense, the new front seven, or back end for the defense? What's your outlook for the Patriots, especially in that first game?
And that's the thing is because, Vlad, we haven't seen anything really from either team, and they're so close to the vest about what they're going to do. I don't know what to expect necessarily. Yeah. I mean, you remember the Patriots last year? Cam comes out, he runs it 15 times for 75 yards. The Dolphins, I think it was 21-11, but it was even more lopsided. Yeah. When you look at it, they really dominated them. So I don't know exactly what this game is going to look like, but the points that you make about the additions, especially defensively, look, I don't think Tua is going to be a quarterback who is going to be on the quick ascent the way Mac is. Even if you listen to Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, those guys who played with both of them at Alabama, they'd say, look, Mac is the guy who I'd ride with. So I think Tua is a little bit limited. Mac obviously has limitations too, but I think the Patriots defensively are better than Miami. It's a fascinating game, and it's just so much unknown. Yeah. I'll ask you guys this. What does Mac Jones have to do to be considered a success as the successor to Tom Brady? Because he ain't winning six Super Bowls here. We can agree on that. Yeah. What's he have to do? Because I have an answer in mind.
Well, at least for me, I think it's being consistent and being more than just a game manager, right? Like, I think we expect a lot out here, especially after Tom Brady. I don't think we want just a game manager. I think we want somebody that can perform in the tough situations, especially when the team needs him. I don't think he's going to win 6 Super Bowl, but I think at least 1.
And does that make him a success, John, if he does?
Absolutely. I mean, Brady's an outlier, right?
Absolutely.
The guy's been to what, like 10 Super Bowls? Like that's never gonna happen again, And I think Peyton Manning went to 2, so you can't really sit here and
Well, he went to 4. That. He went to 4 and
he
won
went to
2.
4 and won 2 and lost the other one. So what it comes down to is these things are not very easy to do. And I think if he can make it to 1, 2 and win, I think it's unfair to expect him to win 6 Super Bowls. I don't think that's
Barry, check this. I have the goal for him. He has to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He has to have a better career than Jimmy to be a success, because that's who Belichick wanted and planned initially to have. You like that?
Right.
I like that.
That's a pretty good answer.
No, it is. Absolutely.
That's not very hard, is it?
No, just get out there and play, baby.
Really
but I mean, so Jimmy's career is just starting. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I would say if the careers are concurrent, he just has to keep having a better career than Jimmy all along. Like Jimmy cannot win a Super Bowl before him or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, but I think even if you're like, that's the thing that nobody appreciated enough, the Patriots included, about Brady. He only missed once when he got his knee caved in, and then he went 13 years without missing another game except for
Right.
I mean, it's almost unheard of. It's like Cal Ripken bullshit. Sorry, I don't know how much we can say.
No, you can say whatever you want,
whatever you want. Feel free.
It's like Cal friggin' Ripken.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, man. Obviously we've watched the best to do it for the last 20 years. And, seeing Cam Newton come in last year, and a lot of us were frustrated, and I think that's the reason when Mac came in and he kind of like looked like what we've been used to, right? Like, the stuff at the line of scrimmage, moving guys, telling guys, hey, go back that way, making sure guys on the same page. And it really looked like Brady a little bit. Now, I've seen this report come on, on everything. Now it just hit the NFL Network and it's on podcasts all over the place because of Rob Ninkovich. I don't know if it's fair to put out there, but they talked about how Mac Jones was teaching Cam Newton the playbook, and that I was definitely taken back by that right there. How much do you know about that, and how true is that?
It's funny. I'm going to read to you, because every day when we do a show, we put an email together. And on the email, it was mentioned, hey, this is out there. And this was what I sent back to the chain. Said, to be honest, I'd lay off the Ninkovich quote. It's a pretty loaded quote, in my opinion. And the implication is plainly that Cam is stupid. Even if Nink were to say that's not what I meant to imply, you should have the foresight to see where that remark leads. And that means the remark's not that smart. It's been fair to question Cam's mastery of the offense and decision-making, and I actually asked Cam about that at camp, and he was open about it. But I think that topic, aided by the comments about his dancing last week, is a real minefield. And if you're going to make that claim, it's got to be sourced. It's got to be multiple sourced. It can't be, hey, I'm hearing this, because it's a pretty damning quote. And I just believe, and I'm sure you guys are attuned to it too. So let's just talk openly about it. This is an environment in which people aren't going to just shrug their shoulders when they hear something that has implications or dog whistle tendencies to them.
Yeah.
Which is a black quarterback not smart enough, and the young white kid has to teach him
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, you can't. That makes it harder for us to have a objective conversation about Cam's ability as a quarterback relative to Mac when we start invoking that shit.
Yeah.
So what was your reaction?
I completely. I thought it was kind of like kicking a man while it's down, kind of thing. I don't know if that's what he meant to do. I don't think that's what he meant to do. Because Rob, he's a pretty good guy, and we listen to him. He's pretty positive most of the time. So I definitely, I didn't like it, but I knew it was gonna get a lot of attention. and there's been a lot of content being put out with, with that narrative in it. And I think it kind of like messes up with Cam Newton, what he's trying to do, now thinking about, teams trying to go out for Cam Newton, a report like that is out there, that doesn't really give you too much confidence that a guy can come in and do what he has to do.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is you say that to try and amplify your sense that one guy is more adept at running the offense than the other, but you're also vomiting that into the sphere where a guy's trying to get another job.
Yeah.
So you in making your point, which better be really, really solid, and not just, hey, once or twice he said the Y is supposed to do this on that route, not that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I just think that we have to be, as white media, more attuned to what we're saying and the implications of what we say.
Yeah, especially after that dancing comment, which I found
the dancing and the rap comment,
and I think that was a very, very good point, Tom.
Both of those guys are people who I would consider friends, who I talk to offline. But I think I'm not saying anything to you guys that I wouldn't say directly to them if the conversation needed to be said. It puts all of us in the media in a compromised position because it changes the conversation if you step into that stereotypical stuff.
Yeah. Very, very great point.
No, for sure.
People hate on the Boston media enough.
No shit.
We need all that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man.
How many times people asked me where my hood was?
Oh my God.
Last month, every time I said Max having a good day.
That's terrible.
Wow, that's crazy.
And, I find myself, jumping in the comments like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, as New England Patriots fans, we've seen the best quarterback to do it for a long time. So I think if anybody knew what it actually really looked like, it would be Patriots fans. So it's like, it's really unfair. And I definitely see those comments, and I'm not with those at all.
But it's, I understand why. I mean, anything goes on Twitter as it is. So you really shouldn't take that as indicative of people's true reactions. But there's no way to raise the discourse if we're going to keep going back to stereotypical comments on either side. So I don't know. That's where I came down on those comments.
I do notice that it's 5:30, and I know you have to go pretty soon.
I'll give you another minute or two because we haven't gotten into a season prediction, and you got me pontificating on this other stuff. Let's go another 5.
I know Barry has a couple questions.
Yes, I do. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So kind of pretty much to stay on the subject of Cam Newton, did that, misunderstanding so-called between him and the Patriots, where he ended up missing 5 days and, missing practice, I believe, 3 practices?
Yeah.
And then it was, clear after that he wasn't vaccinated. Do you think that was a real factor and, pretty much decided, him being released and losing his job to macjones?
Yeah, Barry, I honestly don't. And I know that a lot of speculation is that it is the main reason. I would say it's probably around number 5 or 6. I'm sure it's in there somewhere where you're looking at it and saying,
right.
It's the same as an injury. This guy at any time could have his back go out. This guy, and he misses 5 days or 10 days. It's the same thing with COVID. Bill Belichick has been insistent, and I understand why, that it had nothing to do with any player being released because they were vaccinated or unvaccinated or kept. But when it comes to how's the player behind you doing, how well are you doing, and how available will you be, that has to enter into it.
Big factors.
Of course, absolutely. I certainly agree with that. And then another question I wanted to ask was, since you've been covering, the team for a long time, what's your favorite memories or some of your favorite moments, covering the Patriots?
I mean, see, we're getting ready to do our show.
Nice.
Copyright. Favorite moments? I mean, there's a million. I'm so lucky to have been where I am, when I am, growing up here, and being in the right place. This will stop in 1 second. being in the right place at the right time. You talk about, like, I know I'm a pretty good writer and I know that I work hard, but I could have done those things and been in Cleveland or Arizona or someplace else and never would have had the opportunity that I've had. I mean, the first Super Bowl was unbelievable. The relationships I've made with people who are absolute giants in the history of the game, it's just an unbelievable privilege, Barry. I mean, every game that you loved, I'm right there with you. The Snow Bowl, the freezing game against the Titans, all those under the radar games, like the Ravens win in 2007 when they're down in Baltimore. Unbelievable game. I'm with you. They've all been incredible.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely. Has anyone, would you say, stood out to you? Because I know there's been like quite a lot of
I would say
great and and remarkable moments.
Certainly
in the history of the Patriots.
Malcolm Butler pick in that game and that season certainly stands out as the apex, even though I was there for all of 2001. I think the reason it does is I just remember looking down and seeing live it happen, and you don't realize because it's all just a bunch of ants because we were up in this auxiliary press box. Looks like a bunch of ants. Like, what just happened? And you can hear on the little headphone, intercepted by Malcolm Butler, whatever Al Michael said. And you're like, holy shit, they're just going to win their fourth Super Bowl. They're going to validate all the ones that they won the year before. Deflategate's still going on. Brady's exhausted from that. They won that. And they just beat the best team of its generation defensively by scoring 14 points in the last quarter. I mean, you'll never see anything like it. And then 2 years later, you see something else just like it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there's so many.
Right. Unbelievable, unreal. No, for sure. It's been an amazing run by this team in the last, 20 years.
I gotta wrap.
All right.
Okay, great.
All right, Tom.
All right, Tom, thank you so much.
Hey,
Thank you so much, man.
We're just about to start using our studio here. And I apologize for the glitch earlier. Boys, I really had a good time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Good luck on the show tonight.
All right, stay tuned. We got Quick Slants on Tuesday, the game plan on Wednesday, Patriots Talk podcast. Watch them all.
We'll be watching.
I will. I'm always watching,
good.
definitely.
All right, take care, guys.
I'll be tuned in. All right, take care, Tom. Have a good one.
Bye.
There you guys have it, man. We just had the great Tom E. Curran on the show, and guys, that was amazing. As usual. Hearing the story about David Patton, everything that he's been gone through with the Patriots, man. What you guys think?
Well, I didn't get really to watch David, but I saw all the highlights and stuff. It's just sad to hear of his passing. He seems like he was really young. A lot of people say he was a really
47, man.
Yeah, only 47, right? He was a fairly young guy, right?
A lot of people say he was a really good guy, better guy than he was a football player. So I'm sure he'll be missed.
He was one of those, like I said, you never heard about him. You know what I mean? Like, you'd see him make crazy catches in the game. After that, there wasn't much you was hearing about David Patton, so that was pretty cool. But this dude, Barry, what do you remember about him?
Man, I remember a lot about him. I mean, he's had a pretty, fascinating, career with, the Patriots, particularly in that run, that first Super Bowl run that they had in 2001. I mean, he had over 100 yards receiving in that Snow Bowl game, which I didn't know until I just recently looked that up. Then he obviously made that big, touchdown catch from Drew Bledsoe in the AFC Championship against the Steelers. That was pretty much the difference in the game. And then it was crazy that in the Super Bowl, that catch he made from Tom Brady was pretty much like the same exact play. He ran the same exact route and then, jumped the same way he did in order to make that play. And, and that was, that was also a huge play too, because, that really what, gave, the Patriots a real chance to win, and right before halftime going up 14-3. But yeah, he was definitely one of the biggest, most important, guys on that offense. during those Super Bowl runs during that first dynasty.
He catches,
You know,
man.
big
He
catches
catches.
in like the biggest moments and the most critical, like, you know, parts in times of the game where you need a guy, you know, to make a play and to, you know, be able to, you know, keep the, you know, drive going and, you know, and someone to step up. He was like that guy, like, you know, who was pretty much like before Wes Welker, before Julian Edelman, like even before like Deion Branch, like David Patton was like, you know, Brady's go-to guy whenever he needed, you know, was ever looking for someone to throw to, you know, on a big play that they, you know, needed to convert. So, and then also him being able to, you know, in a game against the Colts in 2003 was run for a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and throw a touchdown. That was pretty insane and incredible for him to, you know, do that, you know, in one game. I think there's only been a handful of guys that have, you know, ever done that in the NFL, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, he was just all around a great, you know, player, underrated. And it's unfortunately that we, you know, always, whenever these guys pass, they don't get their flowers while they're here. It's always they get their flowers while they're gone, which is really unfortunate because he's one of those guys that deserved to get his flowers while he was still here. And, you know, he's gone too soon and taken away, you know, early from us in that motorcycle accident. So definitely RIP to David Patton, and definitely, you know, thank and appreciate all his contributions to the Patriots during his time with the organization.
Yeah, Barry, you're like a Patriots encyclopedia. I forgot about all these things.
Thanks. No, I appreciate it. I try to do my homework and do my research and stuff. So I appreciate that.
On Monday, I was on a bus, and I had a Patriots hat on, and I'm talking about like last Monday, right? And this lady was like, "Oh, you repping today, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "Oh, like, you happy? Like, you heard about Cam Newton? They got rid of him." I'm like, this was on Monday. You know what I mean? I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But I didn't say that, you know, in my mind. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. You know, I laughed. And then on Tuesday, it actually happened. And I'm like, you know, did something like crazy just happen to me? Like, was she like clairvoyant or something like that? I thought that was funny. You guys remembered what you were doing when Cam Newton got released?
I don't, but I was just shocked, to be honest. But
yeah, no, I was appalled and stunned like everyone else.
Wait, you was appalled?
I was appalled. Yeah, no, I was absolutely. You definitely was caught off guard, and
I don't think you know what appalled means.
you didn't like it?
Well, not that I didn't like it.
That's what appalled means.
It was just unexpected. I just didn't see it coming.
No, you said appalled, like you didn't like it.
You don't like it.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess I used the wrong word. My fault. That's my bad. I ended up using the wrong term to, you know, describe how I felt.
Let's say you were shocked. You were shocked.
Yeah, shocked or stunned. Definitely, or even blindsided, if we want to even go there. Yeah,
no, I was about to say, Barry. I'm like, what? Now you like Cam Newton? Like that's
no. I'm not trying to say that. That's not what
I like.
I was trying to. What I was going for. That's not, you know, to say what, you know, where I was trying to go with that. But no, I was just at my house, just, you know, chilling and stuff. Yeah, and I just remember first I saw a text from John from the group text saying that the Patriots releasing Cam Newton.
That was at like 10-something in the morning.
What?
I'm like, what?
Right, exactly when that news came out, and so I was like, holy shit! Like, you gotta be kidding me! They really just released Cam Newton and just cut him like that? Like, wow! And then the next thing you know, boom, Mac Jones has been announced and, you know, named as the starting new QB1 of the Patriots, and just like, shoot, that just had my head spinning and twirling around, you know, during that time where I was just like, wow, like just instantly like that, where starting a new era and a new chapter, of the, New England
Oh,
Patriots.
now that you
Right
said
there.
that, I gotta talk to the people that were talking a lot of trash on Facebook about how we said it was a new era when we drafted Mac Jones, and everybody's like, oh, you disrespecting Cam, and I'm like, no, like Cam's not here to stay. It's literally a new era now. It's a new era, man. So it's like you guys are in your feelings too much sometimes, man, and clearly we know what the hell we talking about. So there's that. But you know what? Let's wrap up the show, man. If you're still watching,
One last question before we go.
Go ahead.
First game Sunday. What's the prediction? How do you guys feel as we're gonna do?
First game,
It's against the Dolphins, 4:25 p.m.
I'm gonna go 24-21. Patriots.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'll say definitely the Patriots will win. This game, I definitely expect them, to win, particularly, being at home and, the home and season opener. I expect, them to be, play well and, and be able to come up with the W. As far as a score prediction, I'd probably say somewhere like, thinking maybe like 27-20 or 27-21 Patriots. That's what I'm thinking what they'll be, but they'll definitely win by one possession and it'll be a close game. But the Patriots will definitely just do enough to win. So looking forward to it.
You, Vlad?
I'm gonna say 16-10 Patriots.
Ooh, talking about slugfest, huh? Defensive struggle.
Slugfest.
Yeah, I think you got a rookie quarterback.
He's not a regular rookie, man.
Exactly. He ain't just any rookie, right?
I don't know. Bold prediction. Mac Jones
paying
goes 4
many
TDs, man.
Paying many to 30 into. Was it 28 interception or something? His rookie year.
Didn't he throw like 18 or something like that?
It was something ridiculous.
Mad interceptions.
Yeah. So it's a rookie quarterback. You have a second-year quarterback on the other side. The Patriots defense, I think, is gonna be formidable. We have a new front seven. The Dolphins defense is also pretty good. So I think it's gonna be a tough days for the offenses out there.
Yeah, man.
Points are going to come at a premium, huh, Vlad?
It's the Bama Bowl, man. But I think I'd rather have Mac Jones under center than Tua.
Yeah.
No question. Absolutely.
Like I was trying to do before, if you're still watching, make sure you're supporting us by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're following us on social media, Instagram, profans_sports, @profansports on everything else. So that's Twitter, Facebook, anything you can think of is Pro Fan Sports. And make sure you're following Tom E. Curran @Tom E. Curran on Twitter as well. And we'd like to thank him for coming on the show again. We're going to keep
big shout
grinding,
out to Tom Curran.
making sure
Absolutely.
we're bringing you guys big wigs in the game, man. And until next time, we'll holler at y'all, man.
Peace. And just wanted to also give you a quick shout out to you, John, because I know you've been saying for a while, even before Mac Jones got drafted, that he was going to be the next guy in the next, franchise starting quarterback of the New England Patriots, even before draft night. You've been calling this for a while.
Even before the combine, bro.
Right. It's pretty much since, like towards the end of last season, you've been saying this. So I want to give you your flowers now, John, while you're, because you definitely deserve it. And you've definitely been, saying this on the podcast and, been calling it, for a while. You know what I'm saying? You're one of the few people that's been, consistently, saying that Mac Jones is going to be the guy. And here we are, less than a week away from week one, and he's the starting quarterback of the Patriots. So definitely shout out to you, John, for, being able to call that and,
right.
And pretty spot on with that.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah, of
hopefully he
course.
does. Hopefully he doesn't suck. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's because we don't want to talk about in the next podcast on how bad and how much Mac Jones suck and how trash he is.
Yeah,
And
man.
how did whether Belichick made the right decision to start him, what I'm saying, in week one, what I'm saying, right out of the gate.
Listen,
So
I just
hopefully
hope
that's not the case.
I just hope we're not calling Cam Newton next week, okay? Like, but
I feel you.
yeah,
A
man.
quick question: do you guys see Cam being picked up by another team, even as like a backup? Do you see him being back in the league this year?
I don't know, man. Right now, it doesn't seem like anybody's in a hurry to sign him. So I think it's going to take some kind of injury for him to get back in somewhere.
Yeah, I can see him being a backup. It's just gonna have to be the right situation for him. I think the Cowboys were looking at him, so I think if it's the right situation, I think he'll do it.
No, for sure, I'm with you guys on that. I think there has to be like some sort of injury, that happens to a quarterback, or some sort of situation where a quarterback's just like stinking up the joint and continue to shit the bed and not play well, in order for Kim to have an opportunity to play in the league. Anyone else. So maybe at some point he'll get in, but I think it'll be a little while. I don't see him, getting signed by anyone just right away at the start of the season, unless if a catastrophic, situation and scenario with the team comes up where they need an emergency quarterback to come in, with the team. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Right, man.
Cam.
Yeah, you guys got some extra content right there. Again, we'll
There
catch
you
you
go.
guys on another one, man. Peace out.
Yes. Have a good week, everyone. See y'all next week.